I'm Karen Dimmitt. I curated a show called UPSTANDERs, which is artists who have channeled their social concerns into their art practice with the hope of taking that art that can reach across divides and connect with our shared humanity so that we can affect positive social changes.
Fragile City investigates vulnerability, using fabric, a seemingly delicate material, to evoke something often conceived of as permanent, architecture. Fragile City invites questions about how we navigate relationships, perceive our communities, and inhabit the world. Spanning studio and social practice, my work includes community dialogue and action, as well as making things. I often collaborate with the public, artists, and community organizers as a way to develop dialogue and connection, so we can use art as a tool for social justice. The creative interactions that result serve as a way to explore neighborhood issues such as displacement of our communities due to high-end real estate development, an issue that confronts us in so many parts of NYC and which permeates the landscape of Long Island City. As residents of the city, we are vulnerable. Some feel it much more than others. Many are unable to afford to live in the communities where we grew up or where we feel connected. As high-end developments grow taller, our options shrink. Welcome to Fragile City.
Tell us about Fragile City.
They originated out of a sense of personal vulnerability and loss that I was dealing with in my life, but I then expanded the concept of the series, realizing that not only individuals are vulnerable for so many reasons in our lives, including aging or feeling a sense perhaps of not belonging in a community or not being connected with others, but also communities can be very vulnerable in the sense of being vulnerable to displacement.
Well, Fragile Cities, one of the things I love is that you're using what seems to be a very delicate material, the fabrics, to represent buildings that we often think are very permanent. And that has another layer to that idea of community and how much work it takes to recognize the fragility of it, to support people to care, and and to strengthen it, to persevere. One of the things that you do really well, and ever since I've known you, is that you do things that pull in the public, that are actually interactions with the public. And you've used Fragile Cities in ways where you have connected with other artists, with community organizers. What is it that comes out of these interactions?
I think what comes out of collaborating and making creative projects around issues that concern us as communities, which I think, by the way, a lot of the work in this show does in different ways, is that it's sort of the together we're more powerful way of thinking. So that it's a form of community organizing, but it's a way of using creative products and projects to kind of activate our creativity and also activate our voices and make our concerns and issues known in ways that are perhaps more innovative and interesting.
Right. It seems that the whole idea with this show too is how the art can reach across divides. It can reach beyond words and affect us at a visceral level, almost a cellular level, to find that common humanity.
I think that's a really great point, and it also because I do work in a school, I work in a local community college, and so I'm thinking a lot about learning styles and education and how people learn and connect in such different ways. Not always through reading something, through seeing something or hearing something or experiencing movement or a dance piece, which is another wonderful part of this whole project, is the movement component. I think it gives multifaceted ways for people to engage with the issues that might be unexpected. And for example, out of the corner of my eye now, I'm seeing the Space Pussy series, and people could wonder, well, why is that like in a show that's about social issues and social protests? But I think it gives you something to think about, and maybe you'll start thinking, oh, there are these lines, and they're crossing, and they're connected, and this is about like networks, and is it about, you know, ways that we might come together, or spaces between the communities and organizing? And so I think, you know, that's just a tiny example, but there's so many different ways of approaching social issues, and I feel that this show has enabled us to contribute to that effort in interesting ways.
Yeah, well, that's interesting that talk about the juxtaposition of the different art. But in this show itself, we have had dancers interacting with this installation in very powerful ways.
Absolutely. Some sort of planned and some completely spontaneous, which I've loved as part of this festival. And it means a lot to me because I feel like a lot of Fragile City is about the kind of interplay between internal spaces and external spaces.
I just want good time, tortelloni.
All the time.